No, but because you want to honor God. You want to do it because God commanded you to do it. See? You have to honor the position God has placed over you. The man is the head over the wife. And so you do it as unto the Lord. See? In other words, it's not because, you know why would my wife Loni would submit to me? Not because submit necessarily, but because she knew her position. She knows where she stands. And second is because the Lord commands her to submit. That has nothing to do with me. It has something to do with God's command to her. In other words, listen, you worship Jesus, and then you are unsubmissive to your husband, you're fooling yourself. You're deceiving yourself. Because one of our expressions of worship to God, you women, is to your submission to your husband. Because look at the text, as unto the Lord. As you're doing it to the Lord. See that? So, you come to church, you sing to worship Jesus, and yet you are unsubmissive to your husband. You know what John says about that in 1 John? You're deceiving yourself. You see? Because one way of expressing our worship to God, for you wives especially, is your submission to your husband. And then it results, of course, in peace. It results in being a good example to the children as well. You see. So, think about these things. Selfishness is always the culprit in marriage conflict. Whether to the husband, if he is selfish, you would not love his wife. I'm going to go to you, husbands, later. But to the wife, you're not submitting is because you want your way. But here's the thing. You know, selfishness has so many ugly faces. So many ugly faces. For example, of course, pride. Unwilling to submit, not willing to be corrected, not willing to be taught. Here's another thing. Manipulation. Did you know that? Selfishness is manipulation. When you're manipulating people, you're trying to manipulate your husband. Oh, I love you, sweetheart. I love you. The back of your mind is you want to get something from your husband. That is manipulation, and that is selfishness. You know that? Manipulation, because manipulation is cunning. Manipulation is silent. Manipulation is it's not obvious at first. It is covered with good words, kind words. But you're actually manipulating. See? Because you want to get something from this person or from your husband. So you want to manipulate him by your words or whatsoever, but you're actually manipulating. You can't do that. You can't do that. So, your submission to your husband, wives, is one of the expressions of your worship. Let's move on. Look at verse 25. Now we go to the husbands. And wives, as we go to the husbands, I don't want you to do this to your husband tonight. Ephesians 5 verse 25. For the verse 25. Husbands, love your wives. Now, of course, we say, husband, we love our wife, right? Love your wife. And even if I ask the husband, do you love your wife? They say, of course I love my wife. But for the Christian, you take another step. What's the step? It's how you love your wife. Look at the text. Wives, submit yourself. Husbands, love your wives. How? Just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Now let's stop there for a while because there's so much here. Just like when Paul said, wives, submit to your husband as a command, this is also a command. This is a command to the husbands. Husbands, love. It's not an option. It is not a suggestion. It is a command. Husbands, I'm commanding you to love your wife. How do we love our wife? How should we love our wives? Selfishly? No. But agape-like love. Because it says here, just as Christ loved the church. Wow. Just as Christ loved the church. And how did Christ love the church? How did God show his love? Look at the text, next verse. And gave himself up for her. Wow. It is a giving of yourself to your wife. That's what a husband's commanded. It is love, and you consider your wife first even before you. Do you understand? You consider your wife first even before you. Because that's how Jesus demonstrated his love for the church while he was there on the cross of Calvary. He could have said, well, this is useless. Why should I die for my enemies? No, he died for us, even though we were yet his enemies. And he initiated love. He demonstrated that kind of love by sacrificing himself. Now, so, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up. What is the giving of himself?
Self-sacrifice.
For her. For her. To make her holy. Cleansing her by the washing with water through the word. You see the responsibility there of the husband. How should we demonstrate our love to our wives? How do we demonstrate our Christ-like love to our wives? It says here, making her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word. In other words, the man is first of all to be a spiritual leader in the marriage. He should be leading his wife to the knowledge of God through the word of God. That's why it's important that we as men, we as husbands, are to be under the authority of God ourselves. You see? We are to be under the authority of God. If we want our wives to follow our leadership, they must first see that we are a man, or when we are men, under the authority of God. So it's like this. Does your wife see that your personal life is under the control of God? Is God's word and will the basis of your decisions? Does she see a man who makes decisions based on selfish motives for his own ends? Do you demonstrate a no-compromise lifestyle with the world? Does she see a man who covets things more than God in his kingdom? You see? So, we are first to be under the authority of God, because they will only, it's easier for the women, the wives, to submit to our leadership when they see that we are also submitted to the Father's will. You know my wife, Loli? She prayed before, Lord, if ever you give me a husband, I want someone who will lead me to know more about you. That's her number one desire. It's not, Lord, will you give me a husband, give me a man who has $1 million in the bank. No, that's not the one. Oh, Lord, will you give me a husband? Please give me a husband that looks like Tom Cruise. I don't look like Tom Cruise. That's not the one. Your prayer was, Lord, if ever you give me a husband, give me someone who will lead me to grow in the knowledge of you. See? You ask her. That's her testimony. That's her story. And I was attracted to that, really. I was so attracted to that. Because listen very carefully. Not all the time, though, but think about this. Sometimes it's like this. You will be attracted to what kind of person you are. If you walk with Jesus, you will look for a girl who walks with Jesus. See? If you are growing in the knowledge of God, if you're pursuing Christ, you will be attracted to a girl who is pursuing Christ too. Not a worldly one. She may be the most beautiful face in the planet, but if you start walking with Jesus, that's not attractive to me. Really? Now, if you're walking carnally, according to the world, you will look for a partner who will be walking with the world. See, sometimes you will be attracted to what kind of person you are. If you are a person who is all about money, really, then you will look for someone who you will make sure that this guy has $1 million or something. Really? That's all you care about. You don't care about if he walks with Jesus, if he's growing in the Lord, if he's mature in the faith, you will care about it. See? So, and the thing with our story, with our love story, is that then the Lord started bringing us together as friends. And when she found out that I have a calling to be a pastor, she said to the Lord, Lord, I pray for someone who is godly, who will lead me to know you more, but not necessarily a pastor. You know why? There's no money. No, it's the mother. It's her mother who said to her, "You're gonna marry a pastor? There's no money there." It's true. It's only the Lord who provides for us. You see? So, but we as men, we are to first and foremost be under the lordship of Christ. And when our wives see that, they would be willing to submit to us, because we know they see us, we're submitted to Christ. So we are to be spiritual leaders first and foremost. And remember Jesus. Jesus is our greatest example of leadership and humility and servanthood. We're going to talk about that in fact tomorrow in John chapter 13. You can read that ahead for tomorrow. Now, let's go back to Ephesians. To make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word. See, that's your first responsibility to your wife, is to assist her, pray for her, encourage her to grow in Jesus, to grow in the ways of God. You see. And then look at verse 27. And to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. Ooh. In other words, the husband's desire for the wife is to be holy, to grow in holiness as he grows in holiness as well. Together they're growing in holiness. See? It's not only to satisfy a lust. You know, one day I was talking to this guy who says he wants to get married. So why do you want to get married? Oh, because, in fact, it tells me about fantasies and everything. He wants to satisfy a lust. It's not going to work. If your marriage is just to satisfy a lust, it's not gonna take long. You see, it has to be spiritual first. It's the most important thing. Okay? And so look at the text. To present her to himself as a raging church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. You know what that means? That the wife should give permission for the husband to correct you. Gently, lovingly, by the way. Okay? And my wife had already told me before, early in our marriage, and she tells me that. She says, love, you help me. You help me grow in the Lord. If you think I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong. If you need to correct me, please correct me. Like, wow, I was attracted with that. And so, because that's what it's supposed to be. Because the desire of Jesus in the church is that the church would become holy, the same way as the husband to the wives. Not the husband being a bad example of doing wrong things to the wife. No. He has to be the one encouraging. And again, by the way, husbands, please be careful with your words. Because you may be right with what you're saying, but the way you say it is wrong. It's still wrong. You know what I'm trying to say? What you say may be right, but the way you say it, it's like, you know what? You see, you did. Yeah. So even though those words may be right, but your attitude, the way you present it, the way you communicate it, is with a bad attitude, it still comes to the partner wrong. Because it's not only what you say, but it's also how you say. Not only what you say, but how you say it. And not only what you say and how you say it, is when you say it. Timing. Timing is important. How many of you, you're offended, and right away, without praying, okay, control my emotion. Lord, maybe he said this to me, she said this to me, maybe she did this to me because she's... No, we just boom right away. Do you think that solves the problem? No, it adds to the problem. It adds to the problem. So, it's not only what you say, how you say it. Say it with gentleness. Don't you know it says in, I think it's Proverbs 15:1, if my memory serves me right. It says that gentle answer turns away wrath. Wow. Can you imagine? Gentle answer turns away wrath. The person is so angry, you reply with gentleness. Look, he will stop. Most of the time. Instead of, he will continue to be angry, he will like... Because gentle answer turns away wrath. But you fight wrath with wrath, it's going to create a lot of damage. A lot of damage, tell you what. Communication is very important in the marriage relationship. Communication, I tell you what. And And then what is interesting is James talk about a small part of our body that can, like a spark, can make a forest fire, and that's our tongue. With our tongue, we lie. We make up stories to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves, instead of telling the truth. That's why James says it cannot be that you praise God with the same mouth, with the same tongue, and then you curse, and then you lie, and all of these things with the same, coming to the same mouth. It should not be, James said. See? Communication is so important. Okay, let me ask you. What is communication? What do you think is communication? How do you know that you have communicated? Huh? What's communication? You can answer. What's communication? What is communication?
Exchanging of information.
Okay, exchanging of information. There's an exchanging of information. What else? There's listening to each other. Huh? How do you deal? Okay, what else?
Sign language, body language.
That's true. That could be. The problem with body language is it can be misunderstood. Right? Really, it can be misunderstood. That's why we have a tongue to explain what it means. So how do you know that you have communicated? There is a response. There, you communicated when there is a response. There's a feedback. It's not just boom, 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 boom. Bye. No, you must wait for a response. There must be a response. There must be what do you call this? A remark from the other person. There must be that feedback. One time, I was new in Dumaguete, and one of our office assistants, his name is Tony, and I told him to, Ton, could you buy this for me? This. He went out, came back, everything that I told him, and he bought, were wrong. Were wrong. I was like, hey, no, that's not what I meant. That's what I meant. Then I realized that I was not clear to him. So what I did, I got a piece of paper and a ball pen, and I write this down. Boom, boom, boom. Ton, this is what I mean. Now, can you repeat that for me? Yes. What do I mean about this? This one. Okay. Number 2. This one. Explain. What does it mean? What do I mean? What do you think that I want you to buy? This pastor. Okay, good. Number 3. So we communicated, made sure that he understood. Then I sent him off. He came back. Boom. Perfect. Because sometimes we are not clear. We are not communicating. Especially how the men and the women, when they communicate, that's why communication is an art. Women, you look at things differently than the men. That's why you gotta learn to meet at the middle. For example, you're walking, you were perhaps at the veranda of your house, or maybe just in front of a window, and then your wife looked up and she tells you, "Wow, love, look at the moon. It's so full. It's so bright. It's so full." And then you look also. You look, yeah, it's so full. It's so bright. Then you move on. What the wife means? What the wife means is this, sweetheart. Look at the moon. It's nice to walk under the moon. See? But the man, okay, yeah. He didn't get it. When the wife, what she meant is different. You see? And so that's why there must be a communication like, what do you mean? Do you want to go out? Do you want to? Yes. Can we? Sure. You know, when I go through, when I bring a couple for the premarital counseling is in the communication that we take a longer time because there's so much to talk about in communication actually. You think it's just talking? No. You think it's just listening? There's so much there. It's the attitude. Attitude matters in the way we talk. You see. And so, be careful with your tongue. Use it wisely. Because tell you what, guys, your words will betray you. You know what I mean? Your words will betray you. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You may be hiding something within you that you think nobody can see, only God. If it's so full, it comes out of you, and people like, whoa. Then they get an insight about you by what you say. You understand? You try to hide it, only God can see it, and you think nobody sees that, but because you're full, it comes out of your mouth, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, and then whoa, you'll know the kind of person by his mouth, or by his mouth. You will know. You'll be betrayed by your own tongue. That's why attitude matters. The heart matters. Make it clean before God. Cleanse the heart, the mouth is cleansed. See? Fill the heart with greed, it comes out of your mouth. Greed. Covetousness, anger, unforgiveness. Really, unforgiveness here, too much here, comes out of your mouth. People are like, wow, this guy, this person is angry. This person is bitter. And if you're always bitter, nobody wants to be with you. Right? Nobody wants to be with you. I always talk about bitterness, all these things, negative, right? What a bitter. See? Can you imagine what happens in the marriage relationship? Don't you know that there's this couple that they're better now by the grace of God? But there's this couple, the husband would intentionally do overtime at work. And he would come home like 11:30 in the evening. You know why? Because he doesn't want to go home early because he doesn't want to talk to the wife. Because every time he comes home, the wife... So to rather escape that, I just go overtime because I don't want to see her still. And then all of this. Can you imagine? You're supposed to be husband and wife and you don't even want to see your wife? Or you want to just avoid her? And vice versa, by the way. Vice versa. It can happen. The wife wants to be away because the husband is in fact, I know of that too before. It's almost similar situation. She wants to be always at the office and take overtime even though it's not paid. So that she would not be able to talk to her husband. So you don't take this lightly, guys. If you want to honor God in marriage, let's continue. Or you want to have a break? Is there a break? Break. Break for a while. Stretch. 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 to 15 per hour. Get some, there's some snacks right there. Then we'll continue.